Hi, readers. Are you ready to talk about the books that are coming out in July? Let's go. Okay, this is a great list, but I will say that I have curated it down to 11 because there are so many. When I looked up new releases July 2025, I was clearly overwhelmed. I had originally written down 13. And then I decided, that's just a lot. It's a lot for you. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for everyone. So what I know to be true about YouTube is that is no shortage of content creators that are also bringing forward July anticipated reads for you. So I feel like you're going to be fine. And I know that you'll watch more of them than just me. So enjoy this and let's get started. All right, the first one is Typewriter Beach by Meg Waite Clayton. This is a favorite author of mine, as many of you know, and I just recently read The Postmistress of Paris. I buddy read that with Rosemary, and I really enjoyed it, and we both talked about the fact that this one was coming out very soon, and we were excited to get to it. Meg Waite Clayton writes primarily historical fiction, and I have enjoyed a number of them. The Last Train to London was one that really stands out for me, and of course I like the earlier ones that she wrote as well, about the parents and their children, the moms and their children, and they were called the Wednesday Sisters and the Wednesday Daughters. So if you have not read Meg Waite Clayton, I really do recommend her, and she's a lovely human being too. But this one is set in 1957, which is a little different. This is a very different take for her. No war. No experience of saving children, war times, or anything like that. This one is completely different. This is about an actress whose name I'm going to have to look up, Isabella Giori, and she's on a Hitchcock contract for 7 years. That, to me, just said, welcome, Lori, come on in, because I love Hitchcock. She, though, is put on she's sort of isolated into a cottage by the studio, and I'm not sure why. It doesn't really say well in the synopsis what's happened. But while she's isolated in this cottage, there's a neighbor named Leon Chazan, and he's not happy because she is interrupting his work. He's writing a screenplay. He's very pressured. It sounds like sort of an enemies to maybe lovers or maybe friends anyway, because it says soon that they're speeding down in a car, through the Big Sur, the coast anyway. 2018, 26-year-old Gemma Chazan is in Carmel to sell her grandfather's cottage, Leon, and she discovers a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of things in a safe. And so now I guess we're going to figure out how their lives unraveled, because of course neither of them are still alive at this point where she finds all of this stuff. It sounds really good to me. I love that time period. The late 1950s is always a time period that I gravitate toward. And again, Meg Waite Clayton writes a really solid novel. So I think you're going to enjoy this one. And that, again, comes out on July 1st. If I didn't say that, which I might not have. All right, Lightning in a Mason Jar by Catherine Mann. This is a new author to me. This also comes out on July 1st. I love this cover, but this synopsis, which I'm going to mostly read to you, got me. In fact, I may read a lot of them today because the way they're written really makes me happy. South Carolina, a woman discovers her aunt's secrets in an emotional novel spanning decades of trauma, survival, and the bonds of female friendship. So that just intrigued me, but here's what caught me. So Bailey Ray Rigby's adoptive aunt Winnie has passed away, and in Bent Oak, South Carolina, she doesn't necessarily see herself staying, so she's going to settle her aunt's estate, and she finds her aunt's personal cookbook, and she decides to buy a food truck with an ocean view in Myrtle Beach and prepare her aunt's dinners, dishes, just so she can make a living. But then a distraught young mother arrives in town clutching a copy of the same cookbook. Embedded inside is a code that promises a safe place in Bent Oak for desperate women who are on the run. For Bailey Ray, it opens up a whole world of questions. Who really was the beloved aunt she thought she'd known all of her life? Willie Ballard's story reaches back 50 years, one of a Southern debutante's harrowing marriage, of her escape and reinvention, and the galvanizing friendship of three resilient women who overcame their trauma, created a shelter, and found purpose. But there's more to Winnie's deliverance and long-held secrets than Bailey Ray imagines. With each revelation, Bailey Ray draws on her aunt's courage to find purpose herself. For now, whatever threats may come, Bailey Ray isn't going anywhere. I'm just going to let that settle. I just can't tell you how much that synopsis really hit me. Maybe because I did do some work with women who were victims of domestic violence and obviously children as well, but also just because the how women come together and help other women has always fascinated me. It really, really has. And so I think this just sort of will be a reopening of that kind of passion for people who do this work and also for the story that this woman has crafted. This has a 4.30 rating currently with over 3,000 people who have already rated and reviewed. And I just think that this is an absolute debut for me from this author, but not a debut by this author. Stop, please, because she's been pretty prolific and I cannot wait to get to this one. I think I might have to buy this one. Not gonna lie. Okay, The Woman in Suite 11 by Ruth Ware. I have really been anticipating. This comes out on the 8th of July. This is a sequel to The Woman in Cabin 10, which was not everyone's favorite, but I really enjoyed it. I don't want to tell you a whole lot about this one because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but essentially this is about a woman who's on a cruise ship and she is in a cabin and some things happen and I can't wait. So this was going to be an auto buy for me. Ruth Ware always is. I've collected every Ruth Ware that there is, and this is going to be no exception. The next one is Night Watcher by Daphne Wollstonecraft. This comes out the 8th of July as well. It has a 4.18 rating, 118 rating at the moment. This one, I would say, is mystery thriller, but also a little bit horror-y. So this is about Nola Straight, who is a late night call-in radio host. Her father did this before her, and now she's taken over the show. And she talks about creepy things, hauntings, you know, all the ghostly stuff, I think, and just basically what's happening that is creepy. But years and years and years before, when she was young, she escaped from a serial killer. And she gets a call one night on the radio call-in show that concerns her because she thinks perhaps he's back to it again. So I guess he was never captured. And what if he's coming for her? Now, before this, she's already installed all kinds of security things on her home and all kinds of preparation to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But she's obviously scared. Who wouldn't be? So I think this is absolutely right up my street. You know, I love a book about a serial killer. You know, I'm really kind of macabre, but I think this one is one that I'm really going to love. And thanks for putting up with Coco, our foster dog, today because she's grieving. When my partner leaves, some days she really gets upset. Today's one of those days. So that one is Night Watcher by Daphne Wollstonecraft, and I've never read anything by her. I think this is a debut, and I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, the next one is called The Homemade God, and this is by Rachel Joyce, who is the author of The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I have to think of it for a second, which I loved. And so this one is really, to me, one that I want to read, but the synopsis of it really drew me in. So this one, I'm going to read some of this as well. The main focus of this is family. This one is about family. So world famous artist Vic Kemp, has relied on his four children ever since their mother died when they were young. And Netta, the oldest, is an attorney, and she often serves as a co-parent to her siblings. Susan, a housewife, cooks and cleans for both her husband and her father. Goose's own thwarted artistic ambitions have left him resigned to a job in Vic's studio. And Iris, the baby, drops everything anytime her father calls. So Vic summons the siblings with the promise of big news that their father is going to tell them, and he tells them that he's getting remarried. Doesn't sit well. Bella May, his wife-to-be, is beautiful, an artist, 27, and he is 76. Okay, so he decamps with Bella May to his summer home in Italy. And 6 weeks later, he's found dead. Now, is this a mystery thriller? I don't know that it is. I think it's more of a family saga because at the end it says the homemade god explores memory, identity, grief, healing, and the bonds of siblinghood and what happens when they splinter and what it might take to find a new way forward. All right, I'm in. I'm in on all of these almost. 8 July is the time that this one is anticipated to release. It's just under 4 stars, so I feel like it's going to be something that works for me. And it might not for everybody, obviously, but yes, I think that's going to work. All right, number 6, The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia comes out on the 15th of July. And you know, I love Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She can write some creepy Gothic stuff for sure. She wrote Mexican Gothic, which I really loved. This one has a pretty nice rating, although not a lot of people have read it yet, 4.30 though. This is about 3 women, 3 different eras, encountering danger and witchcraft. Horror saga. The quote from this in the synopsis is, back then, when I was a young woman, there were still witches. So Nana Alba, who is the grandmother, always tells her great-granddaughter Minerva stories that have stayed with Minerva all of her life. This makes me happy because we had a cat named Minerva, a foster cat named Minerva for a while. I don't know if she stayed named Minerva, but anyway. She's a graduate student focusing on horror literature and is researching the life of Beatrice Tremblay, who was an author of macabre tales. And in assembling this thesis, Minerva uncovers information that reveals that her most famous novel, The Vanishing, was inspired by a true story. And my sense is that that true story probably has something to do with Minerva and her grandmother, great grandmother. It goes back to 1900s Mexico. And yes, please, yes, please. I wonder if this one's going to be a Book of the Month selection. I really do, because it's very possible that it will. On the 22nd of July, Paul Tremblay releases a new novel called Another. Now, I have a lovely relationship with Paul Tremblay through many of his books, and one that's not so great through a couple of others, so he's hit and miss for me. It currently has a 4.18 rating, but only 250 people have taken a look at this. So I'm going to kind of pause here before I say this is an auto buy for me. I haven't bought all of his books, but I have read a number of them. This is a middle grade debut. So there's also that. Unsettling, unbreakable friendship. Casey Wilson's parents tell him that one of his friends is coming for a sleepover and he has no idea who that might be. And it says there's a Zoom incident, so everybody is really not being kind to this poor child and his anxiety is high. So Morel appears, and he's not like any friend Casey has ever met. His skin is like clay, and he doesn't speak. But his parents are enamored with this child, and so they want him to be friends, and they also feel like he's getting along with, this clay person pretty well. They gush and fawn over Morel, but Casey knows that something is wrong and there's no end in sight to this sleepover. So he's tired and scared a little bit, and he doesn't think that this is a kid at all. Does that sound pretty horror-y? Yes. For middle grade, yeah, that's pretty intense. I don't know. We shall see how this goes, but I mean, it sounds pretty cool. I have to admit, it sounds pretty cool. All right, then another author that I love has another book coming out. She pretty much releases a book a year. I'm going to have a conversation about that maybe on Book Chat soon because I've really been thinking about this a lot. Anyway, this is called She Didn't See It Coming by Sherry LaPina. I do love Sherry LaPina. These are usually mystery thrillers. They're often neighborhood friends, people that are somewhat closed together, which I appreciate. You know how much I do. You all know my reading tastes by now. But this one is another suburban, they're calling it Suburban Paranoia, which I think is a really great genre name if we all wanted to sort of use that more often. I think I might. So anyway, this is about a condo, and everybody, of course, in the condominium knows everybody, but the main characters are Bryden and Sam. And they have this nice little apartment. They have a daughter and they have lots of supportive friends. And Sam receives a call at his office one day from the daycare that says that Bryden didn't pick up their child from the daycare and she was working at home that day. So he can't imagine what happened. This one reminds me of another one that you maybe, if you've read them, are thinking about as well, but I don't want to spoil it. So let's just go with that. It's just reminding me. So he goes home and he tries to figure out what's happened to Bryden. Her laptop is open. Everything is there. She's left everything. Her car's in the garage, but they don't know what happened to her. So there is that. She Didn't See It Coming by Sherry LaPina. And again, I think I said, but that comes out on the 29th of July. So we're toward the end of the month already. So that is number 8. Now for something completely different. Maybe not completely, no, but this is Under the Stars by Beatrice Williams. This is an author that I need to read more of. I still have an arc of hers that I never read. This has a 4.16 rating. Also comes out on the 29th of July. So this one has a super long description. Super long. But it's about a daughter and her famous actress mother who return to Winthrop Island to confront their past. The mother is apparently pretty egocentric. She's pretty famous, I guess, and she also has an alcohol problem. The daughter, Meredith's daughter, whose name is Audrey, has always felt like she was in the shadow of her mom, and there was something terrible that happened between them as well. So I think what it does is it goes from where they are now, returning to try to figure out, I guess, for some reason, how they can be together in this situation, but then it also goes back and tells you this past of this woman. She also discovers a chest that belonged to her bartender father, and they pull both of them, I think, back into the secrets of this particular place that they're going to, and it illuminates some things that Audrey never knew about her mom, who sounds a little bit like a few actresses that we know from days of yore. But I do think Beatrice Williams is an amazing crafter of historical fiction, and I'm sure that it's going to be good. And it also already has 4.16 ratings, although not a lot of people have read it. Will I get that one? I'm pretty sure. I may not get it like right away. And I think it would be a good summer read because it's set, I think, on this island. So I think it's a very summery kind of place. But they do go back and forth into a stormy November night. So there's lots of different stories. You know, I love that kind of thing. So I'm in. I'm all in. We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. I have A Killing Cold. I haven't read yet. And I also have another one of hers, I think, about surviving in the woods. But this one, I probably will get to this one at some point. This is a July 29th release as well. So this is about Mercy Gray, who is a hero because at one time in her past, she saved a bunch of people in a mall from being killed by a shooter in the mall. And indeed, she also was injured. So she has some medical issues as a result of this. And she's made some choices after, I guess, that weren't particularly great. And she's asked if she wants to participate on a Survivor reality show. And she agrees, but she's off the grid and things are just not what they seemed that they would be. The set is empty, the gates closed and trapped them inside. And it also quickly transforms because contestants start dying. This does sound a little bit like one that Ruth Ware wrote last year, but I do think I like this, closed circle trope, dying one by one. I'm in for that at some point. So this one has 3.97 ratings at the moment. Not a lot of people have read this one yet as well, but I really want to get to A Killing Cold and maybe the other one as well too, and then I'll probably pick this one up at some point. But I don't know. If it ends up being something that everybody's really excited about, I might go ahead and get it sooner than later. All right, and the last one I had to bring one of these in, is Gracie Harris is Under Construction by Kate Hash. This is a debut novel by Kate Hash. It has 4.29 ratings, but not a lot of them. So we'll definitely be watching this one, but it is called a resplendent debut novel by the people who reviewed it on Goodreads. A love story for tender-hearted Gracie Harris. She has two children, and her husband has recently died. Obviously difficult. She's trying to really take care of these kids and take care of herself and raise money. And she writes an essay the night of her husband's memorial service, and that essay goes viral, which then leads her to a book deal and some other hype, right, for her to be able to continue to write. So she's going to write this book, but there's a deadline on it. And as you know, sometimes writers really don't do well with that. And she's obviously still got a lot going on in her life, and she's got these kids, but she takes off to this mountain house that she and her husband bought before he died, and they've never been there before. So she has to hire a contractor who is named Josh, and I'm sure he's lovely and charming. It does say he's charming, so he's going to help her renovate that home. And so you know what likely is going to happen. In fact, at the end it says, now Gracie wonders, could Josh be her second chance for a great love story? We shall see, but I think that that would be a good sort of something different from all of the plots and tones of a lot of these stories. But they all sound really wonderful to me. And again, I can't stress enough, there are so many new releases coming out. If you just Google July 2025 new releases, you will just be overwhelmed, but in a good way, I'm sure. Thanks for watching. Let me know which of these you might take a look at first. Let me know if you've read any of these authors before, their other books, anything that you want me to know about this list of anticipated reads and releases. I cannot wait for a lot of these. My book budget is going to be spent in July, I'm certain of it. And I'll get back to you on which of these I buy and certainly which ones I read. So stay tuned to my channel. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love if you would do that or hit the like button, because those things just help me get noticed in the YouTube community or BookTube community, which is always appreciated. I love having all of you, your comments, your likes, everything. It just really makes my day, as I say to you all the time, but it really, really is true. I get so excited when I get to interact with each of you. If you don't want to say anything in the comments below, but you want to leave an emoji, since we're looking at July, you could leave something patriotic or something that reminds you of July. So it could be a flag, could be a drink, it could be an umbrella at the beach, whatever works for you. Go ahead and use that emoji in the comments below so I'll know you were here. And as always, happy reading. Bye.